right, so good morning. It's been a few days since we've been out at the Barndominium site, and a lot has gone on in these last few days. As you can see, the basically all the living space is up. We're going to kind of walk through, take a look at what they've gotten done. I don't know, today is a soggy day at best, but I expect they'll be working tomorrow and probably begin setting trusses on this section. You can see we've got the post all up. They're all in place, and they've still got to plumb them and try to get them all straightened up and everything, but they'll do that as we go on. And so we'll just kind of walk through here real quick and take a look at what is in place inside. The house is full of a lot of bracing and everything right now that is kind of a distraction from what it'll really look like. So it's kind of hard to see with all that. But this is kind of like a little sunroom porch area that goes on here. We're using Anderson windows and doors, and we'll have a double door unit, like a French door there with stationary door panels on either side, and the same thing over here. And then we're actually doing glass garage doors on these two openings. So we'll probably do a couple of things to try to better airtight those garage doors than will be normal in a garage, but we'll kind of show you that as we go along. So we're standing here in the great room. The great room and that sunroom porch area are both vaulted ceilings. These are 612 scissor trusses. The top angle is a 6/12 roof angle. If you don't know what that means, it simply means that for every 12 inches of run, you've got 6 inches worth of rise. That's the 6/12. And then the bottom side of these scissor trusses is a 3. So that lets us get this vaulted room, and we're able to get it without having any extra stuff down here in the way. We will go back somewhere up there in the top, and we're going to put a couple of cedar beams in to just kind of dress this room up a little bit. It's going to be a really neat deal. Our ductwork, where this is on a slab, is going to run overhead through that room and out into that sunroom space. That ductwork will actually just be very industrial looking and is going to be pretty cool. It'll be a spiral wound ductwork. We've walked upstairs. Upstairs we've got a couple of bedrooms, and then like a game room / office space that we've got going on here. And we'll get to see it as it comes together a little bit more, but there's a bath up here as well as 2 more bedrooms. So that's kind of what the upstairs looks like. I really feared they'd be done framing tomorrow, but of course with the weather, they've lost a couple of days to rain this week. That's gonna hinder that, slow that down a little bit. So I'd say they're probably gonna be Tuesday or Wednesday next week getting that wrapped up. And then same guys will actually put the metal on the roof. So we'll go on and get the metal put on the roof, I would imagine next week as well, and get that wrapped up. Like I say, I expect that when they're here tomorrow, they'll probably go ahead and get the trusses set on the shop section that's framed more like a traditional pole barn. We are using zip on this house. So this one will wind up, they've still got to go back and install the zip tape, as is the normal thing right now. Windows are delayed, and we don't anticipate having them until April. So that's still a couple months away, or probably at least about 45 days. So we'll probably get this thing basically dried in, start on all of our rough end stuff with our mechanicals, be getting all those things done, or waiting on windows to get here so that we can button it up and get it ready for actual interior finishes. So things are still moving along, and we'll keep you posted on the progress and just how this thing is shaping up. Hey everybody, over at the lake house and taking a look around at what's going on. The electricians are very, very close to being wrapped up. They are due to get a rough end inspection in about 3 days. That'll wrap them up. The HVAC rough end inspection is complete, and so is the plumbing. So waiting on electricians, they'll get done. We've got insulators lined up. We're gonna hopefully do a pretty cool installation video, kind of talking a little bit about different types of insulation and why we've used one over the other, a little bit about the cost and so forth, just so that everybody kind of gets a handle on that. We're doing certainly not a new system, but new to us on this project. We're going to do kind of a hybrid, more of a hybrid foam and bib system than we've ever done before. So that's going to be pretty neat, I think, and that'll be in the next couple of weeks that we'll do that. Try to get this thing insulated, get ready to start with sheetrock. We're going to there'll be a little bit of shiplap going in this house, some tongue and groove ceilings on these porches, and then as well as I know for sure in the great room, we may hit a couple other spots too. So one thing that I want to show you is that it doesn't really matter whether it's a project for myself and Melissa or it's a project for somebody else. Inevitably, there's always problems, and there's always something that we have to deal with that we're not necessarily happy about, but it's just the way that it goes. And I'm going to point out, show you something that's happened to us that we certainly try our best to keep from happening. But if you can look here on the bottom of this window sill, all of the paint is peeling off, and you can't see it right now. We'll see if we can find anything over here on one of these windows. But we've had water coming in the top of these windows. And I'll show you on the outside real quick what's happened. But typically your framing carpenters are who install windows, and that's who did these. And they've done a really good job framing and everything. But windows and doors seem to always be a struggle for carpenters. And these guys actually did a nice job of the windows. If you can look underneath, that's kind of how they should look. They're not supposed to sit all the way down on that 2x4. They're supposed to be hung in the hole. Well, they did that. They did that right. But we were in between weather. The windows came in a couple of weeks ahead of time, which was still kind of delayed. But they did not put the Tyvek that's above the window on the outside over the window flange. And I'll show you that on the outside what I mean. And they haven't been taped yet because it was just so cold. They were having a hard time with the tape getting it to stick. So in the meantime, water, and I'll show you, let's step outside real quick. All right, so these windows, I'll take a look at this one. See, there's no tape on it yet. And if you look at the top, you see that the Tyvek is actually behind that window nail flange. And that's not where it goes. It goes over the top of that window nail flange. And you wouldn't think that that window right there behind me would leak that much, or that one up there, because there's just not that much wall above it. But it leaks a lot, and there's a lot of water winds up hitting that wall, running in behind the nail flange, and then on down onto the inside of the house. So we've got to go back, and he already knows it, but we've got to go back and pull that Tyvek out, get these things taped and flashed properly. And so we've got a few details like that we've got to still finish up. And like I say, it's just that it doesn't really matter what the job is. There's always some sort of little problem. Nothing's perfect, and we've just got to get it corrected. But here you can see on these windows, it's all the same thing. And they were really just trying to get them put in and kind of get the, we were able to get the wind knocked out of the house by doing that. But we've still got rain just running right on inside like crazy. And we've had a lot of rain here in the last few days and weeks. So we got to get that done and get that wrapped up. So we'll check back in tomorrow. We've got to mount a piece of fire rated plywood for the electrician. And I think we're going to try to frame one ceiling and a bathroom down. We'll talk a little bit about what we're doing down there and go on to the next thing. So good morning. It is another beautiful day out at the lake. It's really not a bad place to work when you got this view. So what we're doing today, showing you guys just in the last clip of this video that we're about done with all of our rough-in stuff at this job. The electrician is just wrapping up a couple of things. The HVAC guys are pretty well done, except for venting the bath fans. And so what we're doing this morning, we're mounting our electrical panel to this wall behind me. That's where they're bringing all their home runs back to. And that panel has to be mounted on a piece of fire-rated plywood. So we're gonna install that piece of plywood, and we're also, I told you that the ceilings in the basement, we're just gonna paint black and leave them high. We've done that on several jobs before. It's a really neat way to do it. If you haven't seen that, you'll get to see that as the videos progress. But this bathroom, we have a lot of ductwork up there. It's just all coming out of this mechanical room that's left here in the back or the front of the house. And so we're gonna actually frame this ceiling down just to conceal all that ductwork. And so we'll actually put a drywall ceiling in this space, and all the rest of it we'll just paint out. So we'll check back in just a second and show you what our progress looks like. So we're about to wrap up here. And I'll show you real quick what we got done down here. We were installing this plywood for the electrician so that he can get finaled out. And all we did is, and this is just a code issue, that we can't fasten the panel directly to the concrete. We have to wind up putting it out here on something. And so what we have to use though is fire-rated plywood. So we got a piece of 4x8 fire-rated plywood. We used some treated Tubus 4s that we tap-conned to the concrete. If you've never used a tap-con, check them out. It's like a lag bolt for concrete. They work fantastic. So we tap-con the Tubus 4s to the wall, then use some treated deck screws to fasten that in. Got that plywood put up. We also had to frame this ceiling down. So this bathroom ceiling is now framed down to about 8'6", and we will drywall this ceiling, whereas the rest of the space, we're just gonna wind up spraying the ceiling and just blacking it out. And we'll put a line around the wall where we transition from the black paint to the wall paint. So we'll see some more of that as we go forward and kind of show you that process as we move through that. So let's check out what's going on upstairs real quick. Okay, so this house most likely is going to end up using LP Smart Side. And Smart Side is a competitor to Hardy Siding. It's been out for a few years now, but it's an OSB style product that has been weatherproofed and made for exterior exposure. So we're cutting some pieces of it. We managed to get one piece. We're wanting to see what it looks like on this house, this particular color. So we've done this some different ways. We've painted houses completely before. That is costly, but winds up being the best look. They make a really, really nice pre-painted product. The problem is the trim. We always have an issue with getting the trim boards to look good after they've been installed. So our plan on this house is to use a pre-painted siding, but then only use primed trim so that we can have the painter go back, putty and caulk, and paint all the trim in so that we have that nice finished look. So we're gonna nail a few pieces of this up in a couple of places so that we can really get a grasp on what the color truly is out here in the sun and in the shadow. So we're gonna nail a couple places up and we'll let you take a look at that. Okay, so we got a little panel up on the wall, and that's really all we're doing. Is just putting a little bit up so that we can really see what it looks like out here in the square in the sunlight. We have a really hard time sometimes getting just a piece or two of a product to sample like this, especially right now, just the way things are with such difficulty in getting product. But somehow, some way, we were able to get one 16-foot stick of this to try. We're gonna end up putting another piece on over here in the shadow because it will look different, whether it's in the sun or over in the shade. But that's what we're doing. We're gonna wrap that up, let Melissa take a look at that and see what she thinks, if this is the color we're going with, so we can get this product ordered and on the way here. And that's gonna be a wrap for the day. So please be sure that you hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, check us out on Facebook. You can follow a little bit more about what we're doing on each and every job that way. We post a little bit more over there. So check us out, and we look forward to hearing from you. See you next time.